What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. Hopefully you had a fun weekend, got a chance to play some games. Today, the PS1 Classic is out. I'm going to be doing some coverage of it. We'll have a video taking it apart. And I'm starting to figure out, if I look online and talk to some people, I might be the only one buying this thing. So let me know actually in the comments if you're buying this system, because I feel like not a lot of people are after the reviews coming out and it being extremely mediocre as a system. I am hoping that it gets hacked though, because it sounds like some of the internals are set up to be probably the best classic system currently, at least to date, to hack and add stuff to it. And I mean, Sony just used an open source emulator anyway, so who cares? I guess who cares is what a lot of people are saying. We have a whole bunch of stuff to get into today. We have to look at the FTC is actually investigating loot box, at least promising to. We're gonna talk a bit about that and why we've got to this point, and I guess what could be happening really next. And then Assassin's Creed was listed for the Switch, a compilation by a retailer, and that might be the easiest way to actually get Assassin's Creed on the Switch. And then Sony decided to talk about their censorship policies, and man, it was a bad excuse because it makes no sense. As always, guys, if you enjoy these videos, hit the like button. It does help out with YouTube and everything. We're going to start right away with some quick news, and we're going to start with Firewatch because we did get a release date for it. It's actually coming up about a week before Christmas. It's actually going to be coming out December 17th. Now, if you have not played Firewatch, it actually came out on other platforms and PC back in 2016, and it is labeled as kind of an adventure-style game. Some people call it a walking simulator, I guess. It is a slower-paced style game, but that has got very good reviews. People really do enjoy it. I would do some research into the gameplay, maybe check out some of the gameplay videos first before you pick it up, but you don't have to wait too much longer, about 2 weeks or so, and you'll be able to pick it up on the Switch. It was an odd kind of announcement when they did announce it, kind of out of nowhere, that it was showing up for the Switch, and now here we are going into the end of 2018, and you'll be able to pick it up. And also, Smash Bros. Ultimate is out this Friday, which is going to be really exciting. A lot of people are looking to pick it up, and I think it's going to be a good time. One thing, though, that's pretty much been confirmed at this point is it doesn't appear to have a physical manual of any kind. It's going to be one of those cases where you open it up and you got the Switch game, then you have this big blank space with those, holders for a manual, which is like, oh, they could have just put a manual in here, but I guess not. So fans decided to take matters in their own hands, and we actually had a Reddit post that details an entire manual that you yourself can print out. Now, you'll want to print this out with a fairly decent printer and get ready to use quite a bit of your ink, but if you do that, you cut it well with like one of those big like paper cutters, and then you staple it at the center and then fold it over, maybe leave some books on it like kind of overnight, you will actually end up with a pretty good manual. And this is really cool because they put this up there, they did a lot of work to it obviously, and they put it up there for everyone to go and download. There's actually a link down in the sources if you want to go do it yourself. So if you're a big fan of Smash and you're like, there's no manual, that's kind of a shame, you can actually make your own, drop it in, and kind of complete the case, the game cartridge, and the manual look. Then we have something you're going to want to keep an eye on just in case this does pop up. Trademarks sometimes tell us a bit about what we can expect, and sometimes they're nothing, and sometimes they actually end up being something. And this is something that's kind of been caught on now. People are looking at it and saying, well, that's odd because it's not a renewal. It's a new trademark, and it's for The Last Story. If you remember, this was a game that came out really at the end of the Wii's lifetime, and it was a pretty good action RPG that people really enjoyed. And it looks like Nintendo has not only trademarked The Last Story, a new trademark, they've also trademarked Wii, again, a new trademark, which is making people wonder if they are actually remastering that or just re-releasing it. So if this could be kind of like a cool little release in 2019 and this trademark is just them getting all the paperwork in order, that would be awesome, and I would like to see that because I actually didn't get a chance to really play all the way through it or anything at the time because, again, the Wii was kind of on its way out and a lot of people were moving on already. So I would like to get this on the Switch and actually play through it that way, and I'm sure, of course, the visuals and everything will look much better than what it did on the standard definition Wii, but we'll have to see if that is something that Nintendo has planned for 2019. I'm hoping so. And guys, some of the quick news out of the way, let's jump into the bigger stuff. We're going to start right away with this Assassin's Creed compilation listing for the Switch. And it was kind of a weird thing. It just kind of popped up. This was by a German website, as you're seeing the listing here. This is done by Media Market, and they just posted it up, says Assassin's Creed compilation for Switch, as well as other platforms. And I'm not really sure what compilation this would be. It's really anyone's guess. They have a tentative date of March 29th. Now, when would this be revealed? Well, it would probably be revealed at the beginning of 2019, not to conflict with any of Ubisoft's other offerings, because maybe somebody wants to play, I guess, the compilation instead of Odyssey, or who knows. Companies think kind of weird around the holiday season, so maybe they'd want to reveal it in January or February. There's also a chance this could just be a mistake by the retailer, although that's a very odd mistake to make, to type up, oh, Assassin's Creed compilation, Nintendo Switch, and then just punch it out there. What I'm going to tell you, this. That reminds me, when I see this listing specifically, that reminds me of the placeholder titles that would show up in our system back when we would do ordering for stores, and we would know about some of this stuff fairly early on, but we didn't know about titles half the time. This sounds like a working title that would have shown up in their computer because it says Assassin's Creed compilation. That is exactly what we would see with the brackets, Nintendo Switch. That's exactly the kind of thing that we would see if they didn't have a title ready to tell us about, and they just wanted to get it set up in the computer system for the wholesalers. So I kind of look at this and I thought of that right away. I said, wait, that's exactly what we would have seen. Now, it makes a lot of sense because that's an easy way to get Assassin's Creed games actually on the Switch. Pull some of the older ones over in a compilation, maybe get it all in one cart, maybe make you download half of it. I don't know, but Ubisoft has no problem grabbing their older Assassin's Creed, bringing it over, and doing that. They've done that with the Ezio trilogy and a few others, so I'd be pretty interested to see that actually happen. But again, that sounds like a 2019 release, and well, we're still in 2018 trying to finish this year up. Next up, let's talk about Sony's their censorship policies, because we've seen this a bit now. Senran Kagura was censored. We just talked about the Dead or Alive Extreme 3 that was censored despite not being censored originally when it was released, but now it's censored on the re-release that they're putting out. It's kind of weird to see all of this. Seems like it's a new policy, but we really haven't heard about why it exists exactly. We just know that it exists because these third-party developers are telling us that this is a thing and it's happening. Remember, Xseed had to make that whole post that they had to delay the game completely because of this. So yeah, Steam users weren't too happy. Yeah, that was a thing. But interestingly enough, the president, the Japan president for the Sony Interactive Entertainment, did actually comment on this. Regarding the regulation of the depiction of content, it's simply a matter of matching global standards. As for the freedom of expression, we have to think about what might be unpleasant for children and shield them from those things while also thinking and assessing ways to find a balance. And again, that was the Sony Interactive Entertainment Japan president, Atsushi Morita. And it was an odd thing to hear about this. This was a meeting that took place, Japan Studio Fun meeting, as they were saying, in Tokyo, Japan. And it's an odd thing to hear this, right? Because they're saying, basically, think of the children, which is weird because, well, here's the issue, okay? Here's the problem. We need to come up with a way to rate these games that tells us how bad these games are for kids. And maybe an age rating. Maybe they can even use little letters and stuff. That would actually be really cool. Yeah, we have the ESRB ratings here, okay? Everyone around the world, all these different countries and stuff have some sort of rating that, whether it says 18 plus or mature rated or adult only ratings, those exist. So I'm not really sure why they feel the need to push further with censorship outside of that. If it's that bad, slap a mature rating on it, and send it out the door. Slap a 17 plus, 18 plus rating on it, and you know what? They can't buy it at retail because as a kid, you can't walk up and buy that game. Exactly. They ask for your ID, basically. So it's also odd because we saw some of the most violent depictions in trailers recently from Sony. We saw The Last of Us 2 that actually had journalists write about how disgusted they were at the trailer because of how brutal it was. And now we hear them saying, think of the children. I'm not really sure what's going on. This was a bad excuse. You don't get that wrong at all. This is a bad excuse. I don't know why they gave this excuse. I don't know if they were told, hey, just go out there and say, we have to think of the children, got to shield them. And then over here's someone getting their elbow bashed in a trailer that we didn't warn anybody about ahead of time. You got me, okay? You got me. I don't know what Sony's doing here. It's super weird. And then it doesn't make it any better for them. The Nintendo's over here saying, put whatever you want in there. Just make sure it's rated appropriately. Mature rated? Yeah, fine. Do what you want. Yeah, isn't this supposed to be it's supposed to be the other way around, right? Nintendo's supposed to be censoring, right? You got me. Let me know what you guys think about that statement because, it wasn't good. Next up, let's talk about the UK sales charts because it does give us a look at Darksiders 3. And I was concerned about Darksiders 3 in general because it kind of flew under the radar. Not a lot of people are talking about it. And then it comes out, and the performance in terms of its technical side wasn't great. When I was playing the Xbox One X, the frame rate was all over the place, and it didn't feel great. Better on the PC probably, but it was underwhelming with a lot of reviewers and critics. And now we can kind of see where it placed on the sales charts in the UK. We'll go down the top 10 briefly because it looks pretty similar as before. Not a lot of games have moved around too much, but we'll start with the top 10, starting with FIFA 19 at the top, Red Dead Redemption 2 at number 2, Call of Duty Black Ops 4 at 3, Battlefield 5 at 4, Forza Horizon 4 at 5, Spyro Reignited Trilogy at 6, Let's Go Pikachu at 7, Assassin's Creed Odyssey at 8, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe at 9, and then the Fortnite Deep Freeze bundle that is not actually a disc, it's just a box with V-Bucks or whatnot is number 10. Now Darksiders 3 debuted at number 32, and it actually sold 84% less than Darksiders 2, and more than 70% below the original title. So while those came out in 2010, 2012, those were around more when physical was still very big, whereas now digital is very big, so a lot of people will digitally download these games, and that's all physical sales. But it's not great to see that for Darksiders 3. I didn't expect it to be massive or a big seller. I don't even think THQ Nordic expected it to be a big seller, but it's definitely, I think, one of their more expensive undertakings here, whereas recently they've been kind of getting old IPs, flipping them, bringing them back, like the remastered edition, for example, of Red Faction, and then selling them quickly, probably to get their money back. This probably was a bit more money, and I don't know how happy they are with it, but we'll see, because we still would need to see things like the MPDs and other things going through the holidays. So maybe when it's all said and done, they'll feel like they made enough money, get their money back, maybe a little on top, and then they'll look into Darksiders 4, because I would like to see what they could do with like Strife. That'd be really cool. Then our last bit of news, let's talk about the FTC now agreeing to investigate loot boxes in the US. It's been kind of a domino effect. We heard about it. Of course, it was infamous in Belgium where they banned this stuff. They just started ripping them out of games, basically. EA is fighting that battle, apparently, whereas other companies just said, all right, we'll get out of the way. Cell phone games even got out of the way. So, yeah, that's how it was serious over there. And I think a lot of those companies just kind of said, Belgium, we'll just, you know what, that's fine. We'll just take them out of there. We don't want to, fight with the government or whatnot over there. We'll just kind of move on. EA is going to be fighting that, and I want to see how that turns out. But now we're finding out that the US, the FTC, is investigating loot boxes, and I'm not really sure what's going to happen here, because a lot of people, myself included, we kind of want our video games to be left alone, right? Because you never know what could happen. Maybe a game's too violent. We'll go ahead and censor that for you guys. Now, the problem we're running into right now is the ESA, ESRB, ESA, they haven't really been doing their job here. They're supposed to be regulating this stuff, and they kind of haven't, at least doing something to stop it, and they really haven't. And the other problem is EA keeps pushing it like real bad. Battlefront 2 was a whole thing. That was in the news like crazy. I mean, the mainstream media picked that one up, and it got out of control. So while EA is pushing it, and now the government's kind of looking at it, it's a shame, because, again, none of us really want the government kind of messing around with the video games, because it's kind of our hobby, and we want it to stay by itself. And that's why the ESA was even brought up in the first place, was to regulate these games. We have the rating system with the ESRB and everything, but they have done no such thing really with loot boxes, even a little bit. So that's where we are now. We're not really sure how this is going to happen. We believe currently that the FTC and the ESA are going to negotiate in some way and maybe come to a medium there. Maybe they have to do some restrictions when it comes to the box art stuff. Like it has to say, loot boxes on here or something. Or maybe they have to play around with the rating system where if it has loot boxes and you can use real money, well, it has to be a mature rated game, right? Or, I don't know, can you do an adult rating? I know retailers don't want to carry that. Maybe that's the happy medium. You know what? If it has loot boxes, it's got to have that M rating. So let me know what you guys think about this. I know a lot of people aren't happy with the FTC having to kind of get into the whole loot box situation, but I mean, let's be honest. I think a lot of people have been saying, hey, EA, you guys got to calm down. I bet you other publishers were even like, yeah, let's calm down here, guys. You're going to get us all in trouble here. And EA, they just kept pushing it. So let me know what you guys think about that. Do you think it's another company alongside EA? I'm curious what your thoughts are definitely on this loot box situation. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit the like button. It does help out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about today. Whether it is Sony's excuse for the censorship policies, what do you think about that? Do you think I looked at that as a bad excuse, but maybe you have a different idea or opinion about it? I'm curious if maybe it makes sense to you about, you know, that whole thing. Think about the children, you know, unless we got to make a trailer where someone's getting their elbow bashed in. Also, what do you think about Assassin's Creed compilation on the Switch? What Assassin's Creed games do you want to see kind of thrown in there? Do you have some favorites you'd like to see just kind of mashed up? Let me know, guys, about that. And of course, loot boxes. Thanks, guys, for watching, and I'll see you next time.